The pilots couldn't redistribute the weight.
Right.
Probably going to have to take off about 6 bags. And people are starting to freak out. Oh, they take my bag? What do you mean take my bag? Is it going to be there when I get there? No. It'll probably be there sometime tomorrow. We'll ship it to you wherever.
Ship it.
So now everyone on the plane is tilted thinking, am I going to be one of the 6 bags that's not going to be there? But I think, you know what? My bag's small. I didn't bring a big one. You would think they're taking off the biggest bags.
You would think.
Like the 40, 50-pounders, they're taking off those. So I'm sitting there. I'm not really sweating it. Eventually we take off until about halfway through the flight. I'm one of those guys, I don't know how you guys are. I don't like that cold air blowing on me.
Oh, I love it. It's so hot on an airplane. I need it.
Well, I like to turn that thing off, too.
I like to turn it down a little bit. I like it just like a nice 70 degrees. I don't need it 60, But I also don't like it to be 100.
Right.
And about halfway through the flight, it dawned on me. I started taking off layers. I was like, why is it
Which is weird for you.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on? Why is it so hot? And I did the unusual move of I went up there and I opened up that thing with that blows the cold air. And it was blowing nothing but heat.
Oh.
It was blowing heat.
The heater.
And I'm like, oh, my God. People around me were getting up and walking around. They were sweating. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to alarm my daughter or anything. But when the waitress walked by, I said, flight attendant, I said, what's going on here?
Right.
Why is it blowing hot air? She goes, the pilot put the heat on. I go, what do you mean the pilot put the heat on?
Why?
Don't worry about all the passengers.
Yeah, she didn't say anything. She just said, pilot put the heat on. Don't worry, he'll put the air back on.
Right.
All right? There was about another hour and 20 left. And people literally, I found this out later, a woman next to me thought she was going to pass out from the heat. People maintained their composure for the most part. Like nobody was screaming or anything. Woman in front of me, she almost had a panic attack. She had to walk up and down because when you're in a very, very small plane and now it's getting real hot, they weren't serving drinks or anything. I later heard that one of the passengers overheard them say they lost something on the way. So I don't know if they lost a compressor. I don't know if they lost an engine. I don't know what they lost. But somehow we were quietly flying Kansas, they lost something, and the AC wasn't working anymore. And it never went on.
It's a nightmare.
We finally land. Everyone's drenched in sweat. From a flight perspective, there was no turbulence. That was fine. But it was 100 degrees in there.
Oh.
It was the worst flight I've ever had. Before they even let us off the plane, they said, we're giving everybody $50 vouchers.
Oh, that's silly.
All right. But
50's kind of light.
50's not going to really do you that much good. But it shows you it was their preemptive strike. They know that flight was horrible.
Yeah.
Then, as you're walking off the flight, they said, oh, yeah.
And Nelly isn't he from Kansas City, I believe?
He's from St. Louis.
You could be right.
He's from St. Louis.
From Missouri.
He's from Missouri.
He's from Missouri.
They took all the snacks, and they had them there and said, just take whatever you want. Take water,
That's a Nubs move.
Well, they were doing anything in their power to try
Take this 3-ounce water with you.
No, they were trying everything in their power to calm everyone because everyone was bitter. And then they said, go to the list and you'll see who's. Remember they said they'd taken 6 bags off?
Yeah, of course.
There were 20 names on the list. They took 20 of the 8. They took 25% of the plane's bags, and people were like, what are you talking about? One poor girl, I felt bad for her. She said, I got a tournament tomorrow, 8 a.m. She said, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
It ain't going to be here.
Right, your bag is back in D.C.
No jerseys. Yeah. None of that stuff. They're going to be there. Other parents didn't have their toothbrushes, underwear. I mean, didn't have stuff. Right. I could literally, it was the worst flight experience I've ever had. I mean, awful.
Sounds mega
But you landed safely.
I landed safely, but I don't want to belabor it. But how does a plane it just had a normal, it was full. How are they not able to muster up the weight distribution? In other words, every time it's full, they have to take. It makes no sense to me.
Maybe there was extraordinary heavy luggage. I don't know why.
To take 20, they took 25%
it's strange to me.
of the bag.
It seems like there should be a greater margin. There shouldn't be that type.
There was a razor-thin margin.
It should be built in, a huge margin.
Like 5 bags, I can understand. 25 bags is outrageous.
No, it was 20.
You know what? That plane was not airworthy. You couldn't handle the weight. Everybody on board was sweating. It was probably wearing wife beaters when you landed. This is terrible.
Takes, I'm telling you. It's not like I fly a lot, maybe 5 or 6 times a year. It was the worst flight I've ever experienced. Worst I've ever experienced. And it was not because of turbulence or everything. The landing was soft. Everything's fine. But it was 150 degrees. They took all your bags. It barely gave you any water.
What kind of beater airplane, by the way, can't have a different temperature in the cockpit than in the rest of the plane? Like if the pilot wants the heat on, to endure the heat.
No, what I think happened, they were in some distress, and they didn't let us know. In other words, they may have lost an engine, or maybe they have lost a compressor to the AC. You know, something happened, and they didn't tell us.
Yeah. You're in the dark.
Yeah, we were in the dark, because that makes no sense why they would put the heat on and why we'd all be just sweat. Like, literally, if it went another hour or so, you would have people passing out. It was that kind of heat.
I hate flying. There's always a chance something's going to go wrong like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
You're just at their mercy.
Wait till you fly to Italy this summer.
No, it's going to be a disaster. I promise you there'll be an issue with me. There'll be an issue.
Well, yeah, you're just going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
for a long trip.
Or there'll be some delay, or the bags will get screwed up. They'll sent to Austria instead of Italy.
Did you spring for like business class? You straight coach?
No. Business class? That would cost me thousands. No.
I don't know.
I got a little extra leg room, but it's not business class.
On the way back, we also had a problem too on the way back. I told you this. We had to change the flight from my wife's name to my name. Just changing the name like a month before cost $250. Okay? But when we did that...
Yeah, I don't understand that.
That's because you get the non-refundable tickets and
I
you get
guess
screwed.
they basically gave me a new ticket, I guess. So, but then when they rebooked it, I tried to check in on the way back. When they rebooked it, it wouldn't let me check in. They said, you're outside the 24-hour window to check in. I go, what are you talking about? They booked me coming back May 9th, not April 9th.
No.
So then I had to buy another ticket to come back. What a nightmare.
And then you got to call them to recoup your money from the random ticket out there.
There's no recouping any money. They just take the money and eat it. What are you talking about?
You can't get your money back from the May 9th ticket?
I don't think so. They just blame you.
Because the error was on you.
They just blame you. It wasn't really, how could it be me?
You bought 2 tickets essentially for 1 flight home. I would try and recoup that
2
money.
2 tickets for 1 flight there.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That is brutal.
The airline industry.
That's one expensive volleyball tournament.
The airline industry's got you by the balls.
Maybe Feinstein has it right. He drives around the country.
Maybe he has it figured out.
I actually did consider for a brief second. I thought, how far is this if I drove?
It's a long trip.
So long, and I said, it's not worth it. They could charge me $10,000. I would have to get on the plane. I'm not going to drive.
We did it that one trip to New Orleans.
Yeah, I thought of that trip.
It was so horrible.
I thought of that. I said, remember how horrible that was to drive to New Orleans? That'd be basically what it would be driving back from Kansas City.
And we had 3 people. We could shift drivers.
Yep.
I guess you could shift driving with your daughter.
No, it wasn't going to happen. They literally, you're at their mercy. Whatever they charge, I have to pay. I have to pay.
It's the worst industry in the world.